Hello, Poki here, and welcome back to another Destiny Hunter build video. So, with the Monument of Triumph update, a bunch of exotics got reworked and are technically quote-unquote new, and a lot of people have been using them, making builds on them, but one of them has really fallen behind on the radar. So we have things like Shards of Galanor, Caliban's Hand, Frosties, Shinobus, Raidenflux, Mothkeepers, and Wormhusk. But there's this one specific exotic in that list of reworked things that I didn't list, and that is something that's only in subtext. Spirit of the Wormhusk. So before we talk about Spirit of the Wormhusk, let's talk about Wormhusk Crown. What does Wormhusk Crown even do? So Wormhusk Crown is going to give us Cure ×2 whenever we activate our dodge, and rapid solar final blows will grant stacks of burning souls that will increase our solar ability damage. Now, the increase to solar ability damage is around 15 to 20%, which is might as well not be a damage increase at all. You're better off just buffing it with your melee stat, grenade stat, and class stat, because it's easier and a higher percentage. So that's immediately not so great. And then getting those solar multi-kills will increase the potency of the dodge's healing and will spread that healing to nearby allies. And that's really, really good. But here's the problem. Wormhusk is locked to solar final blows, and the ability increase might as well not even exist on the exotic. But there is a different version of Wormhusk, Spirit of the Wormhusk, that has none of these downsides and even more positives than the actual base version. So what Spirit of the Wormhusk does is gives you that Cure ×2 when you dodge, and rapidly defeating combatants will give you burning souls that increase your potency of your dodge and spreads the healing to nearby allies. But did you notice something? There is no element required. You can throw a strand melee and get burning souls. You can get a grapple kill, get burning souls. You can shoot your arc heavy at enemies and get burning souls, which means it trades off the really bad damage increase to your abilities for a easier to get buff, which makes Spirit of the Wormhusk just a better, more potent version of Wormhusk. And with the things that are on Prismatic that we can use with reworked aspects, this is unbelievably strong. So let's get into things. So why are we even choosing to use Wormhusk in the first place over other exotics like Spirit of Satarachne or Speedloaders or whatever, right? It is the healing. The healing potency of Wormhusk post-patch, especially on Spirit, is a little ridiculous and makes you basically immortal for a few seconds on dodge, especially when mixed with certain aspects on Prismatic. So let's get into what the healing actually does. So on a base dodge with Wormhusk, you are going to get Cure ×2. This is a very potent heal and is basically going to put you to full health the second you dodge, right? That's very good. And then Burning Souls ×1 is going to give you Cure ×3, which is going to push even further than your full health bar. So if you're taking damage while you get this Cure ×3, it is going to make doubly sure that you are sitting at full health when the dodge is over. And then Burning Souls ×2 is the weakest one, funnily enough, and that is going to give you Cure ×1 and Restoration for 4 seconds. Restoration isn't that strong for 4 seconds, especially compared to Cure ×3 on Burning Souls ×1, but the main kicker is Burning Souls 3. Burning Souls 3 is going to grant you Cure ×2 and Restoration for 6 seconds on a dodge. So basically, for around 3-5 seconds, especially with the aspects we're going to be talking about, you are basically invulnerable for a few seconds after you dodge. It is quite ridiculous, and even in -50 content, it is almost impossible to die as long as you can keep your class ability up. So how are we going to be using our Prismatic Subclass, to facilitate that whole dodge and be unkillable playstyle? I should note before we get into the subclass that we are pairing Wormhusk with Hoil in the left column. Now, Hoil got a massive nerf with Monument of Triumph and the double chunk scalar nerf. Is it a bug? Is it not? Who knows, but it's in the game. So Hoil is still the best perk in the left column, but it is massively reduced from what it used to be prior to Monument of Triumph. So onto our subclass. For our subclass, we are running Tether. So because we already have Woven Mail and Restoration, which I'll get into the Woven Mail later, Purpose is only really going to work on ore pickup if we are using Void or Stasis, and Stasis is not that great, and Void is pretty good, so we are running Tether. For our class ability, we are running Marksman's Dodge to reload all of our weapons, and it's going to collect all nearby ammo. So while this build is a class ability build, it is mainly focused on guns and weapons, especially specials. So this is just going to help us keep our ammo economy up so we don't miss ammo bricks on the ground. And it has the lowest dodge cooldown of all the dodges, so this is going to give us back our Wormhusk dodge even faster. And then we have Snare Bomb. So Snare Bomb is going to attach to an enemy, it's going to attach to the floor, it's going to go boom, right? This is going to make enemies that are within the smoke bomb take 15% more damage to them, and it is going to proc Hoil over and over and over again on tick. So if we throw our Snare Bomb, you can see on the left with Hoil, it is just going to keep ticking up, and it's just going to stay there. So this is a very good way to get our class ability back. So if we just, we need our class ability, throw the smoke, debuffs enemies, gives us Radiant with Dawn, and it's going to proc Hoil for way more than 5 seconds and enable it to do ×2. So a very good melee ability for this build. And then we have Grapple. So we're not using Grapple for its offensive capabilities, though you can use it for that. We are using it for the low cooldown of 159 and the fact that you can half grapple. So if you don't know what half grapples are a technique where you either grapple and ungrapple in the air or grapple the floor. This is going to keep around half of your grenade energy, especially if you're at like 100 grenade stat, which we aren't. And this is still going to proc perks like Hoil. So if you dodge and then half grapple, you're going to get ×2 of Hoil going to your class ability. So this is a very good way to keep your class ability up and buff it while, still maintaining a flow, right? And then we have Aspects. So I'm really excited about this. These are like two of my favorite aspects in the game, and they haven't been working together since Prismatic released. But with the Monument of Triumph update, they are fixed, they work together. So this is a fresh and new combo to Prismatic Hunter, which is really exciting. So we have Winter Shroud and Ascension working in tandem on the same button press. So what does this actually mean? Let's start with Ascension. So while we're airborne, you press the airborne move button, right? Mine's X. It's going to use your class ability, it's going to propel you upwards, and it's going to jolt all nearby enemies and give you Amplified for 15 seconds. You and your allies, but it's whatever, right? It also gets buffed by class ability, but it's not like... Ascension, even with high class stat, doesn't do a lot of damage. It's just there for jolt application. So this is going to give us Amplified for 15 seconds. It's going to jolt nearby enemies and send us in the air, which is good, right? But it's not insane. What is insane is the fact that we can pair it with Winter Shroud, which honestly is like a top 3 best hunter aspect that no one is using these days. So Winter Shroud is going to slow nearby enemies. I'm pretty sure it is a larger radius when it's paired with Ascension, but it's going to slow nearby enemies, and when you slow an enemy, it's going to briefly increase your class ability regeneration. So just by using our air move and use our class ability, it is going to give us back a chunk of our class ability just for using it. And the biggest part of Winter Shroud is not even listed inside of Winter Shroud's actual perk description, and that is that when you slow nearby targets with Winter Shroud, you don't have to slow them, you just have to be near them. You will gain a 50% damage resist for around 4 to 5 seconds. So on a single button press, on a single class ability action, you will launch into the air, get amplified, jolt nearby enemies, slow nearby enemies, and get a 50% damage resist. And it's all on the press of a button. So if I just walk up to this guy, don't even have to slow him, it activates, and boom, I have a 50% DR for 5 seconds, amplified, jolt, slow, everything. Already have half my class back. See, you get this stuff back really quickly. So awesome combination. I'm so glad it works now, and you've probably already seen it in gameplay, but I'm probably going to show more after this. And then we are on to our fragments. So for our fragments, we are running Facet of Protection. This is going to give us a little bit more DR when we're near combatants, and this DR is going to stack with Transcendence. It's not going to give you more when you're in Transcendence, but it's going to stack, so it's going to be good because we're going to be in Transcendence pretty much all the time. And then we have Facet of Purpose. So depending on our super, when we pick up an orb, it's going to give us a elemental buff. And since we are on Tether, we are going to get a Void Overshield, which is a 80-something% DR thing. It's pretty good, right? And then we have Facet of Hope. So while you have an elemental buff, which stacks with multiple elemental buffs, your class ability will regenerate more quickly. So the buffs we have in this build is Amplified, Bolt Charge, Cure, Radiant, Restoration. Those are all of them, right? So we have a ton. We have Woven Mail as well. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. So Woven Mail, Amplified, Bolt Charge, Cure, Radiant, Restoration. So that is a lot. We also have Void Overshield. So we're going to be max stacking Facet of Hope to get us our class ability back even faster. And then we have Facet of Dawn. When we get a powered melee hit, it's going to give us 5 seconds of Radiant. This is just to help the build work more because of the weapon stat, and it's going to give us more class ability energy through Facet of Hope. So if we just dodge near an enemy and then throw out our smoke, it is going to give us Radiant, which procs Hope. It's going to give Hoil, which is going to give us more class ability energy back. So in just one smoke, we already have, well, our class back, right? So it's a perfect combination of all things mixed together to work together. I love having a new, fresh prismatic, setup to use because we've been using the same thing since Final Shape's release. Let's be real, Hoil said Arachne for like 3 years. So I'm really happy that we have some new options. Now on to the rest of the build. So to get this out of the way, what are we actually using for armor? So for our armor set bonus, we are going to be using the 2-piece Iron Sharpens Iron, where killing a powerful combatant will generate us additional ammo progress. Now, some people have been saying that this is a bugged perk and gives too much ammo, but Bungie has never had an official communication saying that this perk is bugged, and it is equivalent to the Last Wish 4-piece for grenade kill ammo gen, so I don't think it's bugged, but if it does get nerfed, it's still going to be best in slot, because this is a special focused build, using a special as a primary with special finishers, so regardless of what happens, who knows, it maybe get like a 50% nerf when the video releases. It's still going to be very good. And then we are going to be running multiple perks. So you can run Smoke Jumper, Pharaoh Potent, or the Salvation's Edge 2-piece. Now, I would be running the Salvation's Edge 2-piece right now if it wasn't for the fact that the end chest is bugged and I could not pull any armor from it. So the 2-piece from Salvation's Edge is going to give you a 7% damage increase and a 25% damage resist when you kill a powerful combatant. So the same trigger of Iron Sharpens Iron will give us more damage, more DR all the time. So if you had the capabilities to run that, like let's say when the video comes out, maybe Salvation's Edge is featured as a raid, go get that armor set, go get the 2-piece, pair this with the King's Fall 2-piece, you're going to have a very good time. Now, quickly for our armor mods, this is a basic setup. We're going to be running a heavy and special finder because we're all about ammo, a siphon for our special weapon, a heavy-handed and focusing strike. These are both going to proc on both our melee and our grapple, and then a kinetic loader specifically because I like using this build with Refurbished, and Refurbished has a really bad reload time. You could always swap this out for a bolstering detonation if you're not using Refurbished. And for our for our chest, we're going to be running Concussive, any elemental resist, and Charged Up. Then for our boots, we are running Better Already, Stacks on Stacks, and a Scab for our special. For our class item, we're using Special Finisher, Powerful Attraction, and Reaper, the classic setup. So what this is going to allow us to do is when we pick up an orb, it's going to give us 2 armor charge instead of 1. And when we pick up 2 orbs, we're going to go up to 4 armor charge instead of 3. And when we finish an enemy, it's going to give us special ammo and still have 1 charge left. So it only takes 1 orb after that to get another special finisher. The armor stats for the build is 70 melee, 70 grenade, 70 super, 100 class, and as high of a weapon stat as you can go. For our weapons, these are very important. We are going to be using the Call with Slice and Chaos Reshaped, or a Festival Flight with Slice and Attrition Orbs. The Call is a lot more efficient at killing enemies and proccing the artifact perks, so I would more so recommend the Call over Festival Flight. It's a very easy weapon to get, and you can craft it, so go get it. For energy slot, you're simply going to run a weapon that matches the champions of the area. So you can either use like Bug Out Bag for anti-barrier, Year Tide for overload, like Sunshot for unstop. Literally anything you want to run here, just make sure it allows you to stun champions that you can't with your abilities. Then for our heavy, I'm simply going to run Refurbished for anti-barrier, or I can run Galahorn because our ammo is not going to be a problem and use that to stun anti-barriers, but for ammo purposes, I would more so stick to Refurbished. And then, yeah, that's the ammo. For our artifact, we are going to be using the Tablet of Ruin, and not a single perk is lost on this artifact. So the first perk is Unraveling Orbs. Whenever we pick up an orb or a tangle, it is going to give our strand weapons Unraveling Rounds. So that is going to give our The Call Unraveling Rounds, which is probably the strongest weapon buff when compared to things like Scorching Rounds on certain things and Volta Rounds. Unraveling Rounds are super powerful. And then we have Dielectric. Defeating arc debuff targets gives us Bolt Charge, and rapidly defeating arc debuff targets will spawn Orbs of Power and heal a small portion of health. So every single time we use our Ascension, it is going to give us Orbs of Power, heal us Cool, right? Then we have gold from lead. Picking up special ammo has a chance to grab and grant heavy ammo. So when we do a special finisher, when we get bricks from the King's Fall armor set, this is going to give us tons of heavy, which is going to go into our whole like ammo spam kind of setup. Then we have Horde Shuttle. Damaging an unraveled target with a weapon will occasionally spawn a threadling, and threadlings sever targets. So with the call, every single shot on an unraveled enemy spawns a threadling. So you're going to have tons of threadlings going out. It's crazy. And then we have Flashover. When you gain maximum bolt charge, you become amplified. Not that great since we have Ascension, but lightning bolts deal more damage. This is a 50% damage increase to all of our bolt charges, which we are going to have a lot of them. Then we have the most overpowered perk in the game right now, 2 Shreds. Dealing sustained damage to severed targets unravels them. Defeating a severed target creates a hotspot of strand energy, granting woven mail to nearby allies for a short duration. And then we have Defibrillating Blast. Stunning a champion will give you max stacks of bolt charge, and damaging targets with bolt charge will jolt them and heal you. So the way this works is when we are fighting enemies, when you ascend, it's going to debuff targets, it's going to grant you bolt charge, like when you stun a champion or whatnot, right? And then, since we used our class ability, it is going to proc Slice on the call, and when we kill an enemy with Slice, it is going to spawn a pulsating field that is going to give us woven mail, and we can just keep that going and kill more and more enemies as we go. And that's basically it. We're going to have constant burning souls, constant woven mail going at all times, and yeah, it's a little overpowered. So for the last part of the video, I am going to show off the build and talk through what I am doing with it and what is actually happening in gameplay in the Conflict Master. So a lot of people have been running this Lost Sector, so you've probably ran it already, so you can see what the build does versus your own gameplay. So to start, I'm just going to kill some enemies. I'm going to stun champs, and that is going to give me the bolt charge for the stuff. I'm simply just going to kill them because they're in my way. I'm going to grapple the ground to keep our empowered abilities up so I still have my class ability ready. I'm going to clear some chaff and restun this champion, bolt him again, finish him. I wish I could pick up that orb on the ground there, but I couldn't. And then I'm going to focus on the anti-barrier next. He's going to put a shield up. I'm going to stun that. I'm going to simply kill him with a finisher so I get more of my special back for my call. Then I'm going to finish up the few enemies that are left to spawn more champions. Champions have appeared. I'm just going to find where they're at. Wish that smoke hit him, but it didn't. Weaken him enough to put his barrier down, stun him. Now I have my Transcendence, so I'm just going to kill this guy and then activate Transcendence. Clear up the chaff. Get woven mail from killing these enemies. I have Burning Souls ×3, so if I'm ever in a bad situation, I can dodge. Take care of this champion. Boss is right there. I'm going to keep up Burning Souls, so I'm going to kill some enemies to get it back. Shove him in a corner using my Transcendence and spamming heavy into his head. Grapple for more damage. If I'm ever in a problem where he stomps, I'm just going to dodge so I get my health back. I'm going to go into a bit of an ad clear because there's a lot of guys and get my Burning Souls stacked back up and our Transcendence pop back into Transcendence. I have Burning Souls ×1 and our dodge, so that's an easy cure ×3 if I'm in a bad situation. Stomps, dodge, and he's dead. Just to make sure the area is clear, I'm just going to kill the rest of the guys in here. Another nice bolt charge on that guy. And yeah, that's the build. You're basically invulnerable at all times. You have permanent Transcendence. Champs are not a problem because of Dielectric and all the bolt charge perks just constantly hitting them with bolt charge, which also heals you and jolts them, right? So everything is going on, working perfectly, and this is probably the strongest Prismatic Hunter can be in this update, but I'm still going to keep looking for better stuff. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being a member, Davey, Maya, Zephyr, Frogcat Dog, Rimu, Easties, Puke Kang, Tanner White, Joy-Con, Seppuku Angel, Second Minx, Equitas, Juker, The Zesty Lime, Nighty K, Kai Rain, Vinny Rotten, Dan Luciano, E Brainrot, Kazuhira, Cosmilk, BKL Finest, Chris Dodge, Love Hate J, Mr. Spartan, Big Business, Tuna, R17A, Alley Cat, Vaughn, Emery, William, Will Runs, Puppy Princess, and Nufsy. Thank you so much for being members.